Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Bridging Functionality Gaps, Enhancing Embedded Analytics with Hierarchies, Drilldowns, and Dashboard Linking. My name is Jason Barris. I am a Senior VP here at Infragistics. I've been with the company for a little over 20 years now, and I drive all of our developer tools division, including Reveal, which you are going to see today. So today's agenda, we're going to look really at using some of these richer data features that Reveal offers, including drill downs, linking, hierarchies. And then I'm going to show you how to dynamically create like a custom dashboard at runtime, which is really cool. We have a library called the SDK DOM on GitHub, which gives you a lot of neat capability. And the other thing that I'm going to highlight today is some of the new features that we just released. Some of them are still beta, some of them are new, but I want to give you sort of a sneak peek as to what you should expect in the future with Reveal. So what is Reveal? Reveal really helps you accelerate insights with self-service embedded analytics. The whole point, there's no SaaS. You don't log into a server. You're not beholden to being connected to some third party to actually view or create your dashboards. This is a true embedded SDK. It lives in your application, so it's accessible anytime your app is accessible. Of course, because it is self-service, you can view and edit and share interactive dashboards. We have a rich API over the entire experience that you offer your users, and we meet you where you're at with your technology. So is your backend Java, Node, or .NET? We have Reveal servers for those three platforms. And then on the client, we have JavaScript, so it will work with your Angular, React, Web Component, Vue, .NET application. It doesn't really matter. It's just a JavaScript app. So very flexible in terms of not only the API and what you can offer your end users, but as well as how you embed it in your application. So the key thing here is that we are an SDK. When you're thinking about embedded BI, you really have one choice. Do you want embedded or do you want a SaaS application? We're really the only true embedded client and server available on the market today that you can deploy with your app. There is no hosted piece to this at all. We never touch your data. It's completely air-gapped to your environment. There is no per user or per server fee. Reveal's licensed by application, so you could have 20 users or 20,000. We don't care. We have a couple dozen data sources, all the common tabular data sources, Oracle, SQL, Azure, MySQL, Postgres, etc. So whatever your data source is, we probably have a connector for it, but we also have REST and JSON as a fallback in case you need to expose your data as a REST data source. We have a REST connector as well. As I mentioned, you can deploy Reveal anywhere, so it can be cloud hosted, hosted on-prem. It doesn't matter. Wherever your application is deployed, Reveal is right there with you. And I always say we're secure by default because we live within the security context of your application. You're not using our security. We're using your security. So people ask, hey, is my data safe? Is my application safe? Are your APIs secure? Well, if your application is secure, then your Reveal implementation in your app should be secure because we're just using that security. And as I mentioned, the rich API on the client and the server give you a great experience that's completely customizable, completely brandable by whatever your customers need or whatever your application is. So with that, let's jump right into a demo. I'm going to highlight some of the drilling features, the hierarchy features, and then we'll get into some of these newer features that we have just shipped in our latest release. I'm going to start with a dashboard that I've designed, which gives me all of the details for employee sales. So I'm calling this the employee sales analysis dashboard. What I have is some KPIs across the top, totals, etc., some order history. I have some orders by product. I have orders shipped to countries and some different shipper information. However, this is just a standard, more or less static dashboard. If I expand a visualization, I can still do my statistical functions. I can, of course, swap out the visualizations at runtime to basically be whatever I would like. And I can do my editing, exporting, etc. That's available across the board. So all of these features by default are there. However, I want to do some deeper analysis. One of the features that Reveal has by default when we're working with dates and times, you'll notice here across the bottom I have the year. So these are order history by year. If I click on a column, I do get a drill down. So this drill down is going to look at the data that I have bound to this particular visualization and then offer me the ability to drill down further into the month, the day. We start at the year, we can go down to the quarter, then the month, and then continue on. That's going to be automatic. So if I go back up to the year, you also notice when I do that, I have a breadcrumb across the top. So if I'm like way down in a hierarchy, I can just go click the breadcrumb and end up back somewhere useful. But if I then edit this guy, I'll jump into edit mode, and you can see that I have the year, month, day built here in the hierarchy. So when you create a visualization, so now if I just drag my order date here, we'll automatically build out this hierarchy for you. So you don't have to write any extra code. If it's a date time format, it is intelligent enough to parse it and understand that you do have some level of hierarchy. So how do you do that on a column chart, on a tree map, on a donut chart, etc.? Well, if I explode this chart up and I jump into edit mode again, I have the same hierarchy display, and I can take any of the fields that I have in my field list and start building out some level of hierarchy. So for example, if I want to look at which supplier is supplying these particular categories, I can just start building out a hierarchy here. And now when I click on a bar and I can drill down into this beverages category, and then it gives me the suppliers that are delivering these products to my warehouse. And that works for any one of these. So we know the context of the bar or the column or whatever we happen to be hovering over, and we will give that to you in the tooltip. So now if I save this and we do this at runtime out of the editor, I have the same experience. And then here is my breadcrumb. Same with something like a tree map. A tree map is really meant for hierarchical data. Displaying just one level in a tree map is cool, but really what the idea of a tree map is the different size squares give you the relative values of the whatever information you're looking at. So in this case, I'm looking at the number of orders by product category. So beverages had 354 and produce 129. A chart like this, in like an instant glance, you can see that, beverages is the big and produce is the small. So it's kind of nice in terms of the UX. So let's take a look at a few other fields that, might be useful here. So if we drill down, we want to know who's ordering these. Where are my orders coming from my sales team? So I'll drag employee country, and we can see USA and UK are those primary. And then where are these being shipped to? So let's take a look at the order ship city. So here we have product category, employee country, order ship city. And now as I drill down, I can continue to see what this data looks like and very quickly determine who has the most, who has the least. So I'll check my box and we'll save this. And there we go. It looks pretty nice. Now, of course, I have this filter across the top. Let's look at Mr. Robert King and hit apply. And now we're just looking at the data for Mr. Robert King. However, we have added some beta features that we've been working on that really enhance the experience of what I'm doing with my dashboard. So for example, by default, if I click on this column, I see my drill down. However, you don't really know there's a drill down unless you click. So how can we make this a little bit more interactive? Let's open up Visual Studio Code here, and I'm going to highlight what we're actually looking at. One thing to note is I am using Reveal 1.7.0, which we just shipped here in September of 2024. So if you're looking at this in 2026, make sure you're probably looking at 2.7.0. but I'm using my local JavaScript file. Everything is up on the CDN. And you'll notice that I am simply just calling the load dashboard function and loading that dashboard from my server into the reveal view. However, I want to enable some new features. So you can do this as well. These are fully available. The reason we make these available is we want you to test them and give feedback. So I want to enable actions on hover tooltip, and I want to enable interactive filtering. So what does that mean? Let's go ahead and save this. Let's go back to our dashboard. Let me hit refresh. Now look at the experience of my tooltip as I hover. So what you're going to notice is that I don't have to do any clicking. Everything is available to me right here on the hover. So I can do a drill down, obviously still use my breadcrumb. I have a filter option. So this filter, what it's doing is it's looking at all of the visualizations on this page, and it will attempt to filter items that are using the same data set. So here, if I filter by confections, what happens is everything was filtered by confections. You can see confections was highlighted here. And then you'll notice this other new feature, interactive chart filtering or highlighting, where we are showing now in the primary color the new value, and then the remaining value is grayed out. So if you look at my tree map, confections here is in orange, but everything else is in a lighter color because we don't want you to focus on that. Same with sales history. We're saying, hey, for the product category confections in 1996, there were 56 orders, even though there was 152 total. So now I'm going to close out confections, and you can see that everything went back to normal. So if I go and I filter by 1997, I'll see that, oh, these were all of the shipments this was the sales history for 1997. So we did 161 beverage category shipments in 1997 versus a total of 354. So this is a new tooltip. This is a new filter experience. The tree map actually looks the most different because now you have different sizes in those categories. But the cool thing is it's super easy to read, and I sort of get that instant view of the values, much nicer. The other thing you'll notice is that the filter that was just applied is up in the filter bar area, and it has a blue border, and it's a little bolder, and it has a close button. So it is clear that this is one of those interactive filters. Also, we updated some of the UI with this release. You notice here that the fixed filter actually has a gray background. And you might have noticed if I click edit and I hover over, there's an edit button right on the visualization, where in the 1.67 release, you had to click the edit button here. So we're continuing to improve this UI. Also, when I am in edit mode on a visualization level, I do have a description now. So much nicer experience, actually pretty nice. So these features are really nice. They really do enhance that experience. And with the updated tooltip, super obvious that you have hierarchies, drill downs, and filters. I'm going to go back to my Visual Studio Code, and I am going to enable this new toolbar because this is also another sort of interesting feature that we're adding that I'm going to guess is going to make a bunch of people happy. Because what happens is when you're looking at a visualization in the previous releases, you'll notice we just had this expand and collapse. Well, now we have a whole toolbar here. And what does this toolbar do? The toolbar lets you do analysis directly on the visualization when you're in view mode. So for example, if I want to do a max value line, if I want to do a min value line, you can see these lines are kind of showing up here on my visualization. And I have a ton of different options. So here, different trend lines. I can look at series average. You know, you're in a meeting and you're looking at a column chart or a line chart and everyone's like, oh, it looks like the average is 50. You don't really know. All you have to do is go and check this box, and here the series average is 277. I can show or hide my value labels, show or hide the last value label, you know, all kinds of different things, and then copy this as an image. So if I copy this guy as an image, let's go ahead and open up Microsoft Paint. And in Paint, let me go paste this, and there is my chart in Paint. So pretty cool there. And that toolbar is available when you expand and collapse. It merges with the existing toolbar, so you have your statistical functions, your different chart types. So the toolbar's neat, but what is the most exciting thing, because we are an API behind the UI, you will be able to add your own buttons to this toolbar. So imagine the capability when we release this in the next release, the ability to add custom actions on the toolbar. So we're going to go into custom actions on clicking today, but when we finally get around to releasing this toolbar, it's going to be amazingly powerful for you. So I'm really excited about these new features, and please go ahead and test them now. So now the next thing that I want to do is I have this employee analysis dashboard, which is great. I can look at individual employees, but I really want to use this as a child dashboard from my master dashboard. So this is the employee sales analysis. So let's go back over to Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to look at my load dashboard data HTML file. So very simple here. And what we're doing in this case is I'm loading a dashboard called orders SQL, doing the same sort of thing, calling load dashboard, very straightforward, very simple. I'm already enabling actions on hover tooltip. I'm enabling interactive filtering, so that's all good. But what I want to do is actually use a feature called dashboard linking. I want to link the interactions from one chart to another chart. So in this case, we have the on dashboard selector requested. What that's going to do is enable in the editor a new experience that allows you to add a dashboard link. So I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to go to its definition for open dialog. This is very straightforward, not reveal code, just regular old JavaScript. I'm fetching a list of file names from my server, and then I'm doing a poor man's view here. You can make this look really beautiful, but you'll see that I'm just showing boxes of the names of the dashboards. I have a sample on GitHub which does thumbnails, which is really nice. And essentially, I am just going to give the user the choice to select a dashboard to link to. So what does that look like? So let's open up this guy in the default browser. You'll notice here I have my tooltips enabled. I've already enabled some drill down. So if I jump into edit mode here, I've got some hierarchies, product category, product name. Everything's looking good. But I want to enable a link from this salesperson over to the dashboard that we just saw. So let's edit this. Let's go to settings. And down here, we have a new option, connect this visualization to another dashboard or URL. I'm going to click the plus sign, and this is a reveal dialog that pops up. It gives you the option to connect to an existing dashboard or to any arbitrary URL, and then maybe pass parameters from this visualization context to whatever the heck you want to pass it to. We're going to stick with the dashboard, and I want to click Select Dashboard. So this is my custom code here. You can see it doesn't look beautiful, but it gives a box for each of the dashboards on my server. I want to connect to the employee sales analysis dashboard. So I'm going to select this guy, and what this is prompting me is to connect to the filters that are available on that target dashboard. So I want to connect the employee name, Miss Nancy DeValio, Laura Callahan, to the employee name in the employee sales analysis dashboard. So I'll just simply do that. We've already matched them up because we automatically find the like names. I'm going to create that link. I am going to, well, let's go down here and we'll look. Here's my link. It says trigger this when the value is selected. I could also trigger something when the value is maximized, which is another nice trick, but let's just leave this the way it is. I will click the checkbox, click the checkbox. Now what happens? Notice here, as I hover over each column or each bar, it's saying I have my drill down, I have my filter, but I can also open the employee sales analysis. So I'm hovered over Miss Janet Leverling. Let's select this guy, and what it did is it automatically filtered to Miss Janet Leverling, and this is Miss Janet Leverling's data. Now I have a back arrow, which takes me back to my original dashboard, and if I hover over, for example, Nancy DeValio, I can link now to Nancy DeValio. We're not done though. Let's go ahead and edit this guy again. I want to edit this, and let's modify the way this looks. So I'm going to go and I'm going to select edit. And here is what shows up in the tooltip, open employee sales analysis. So let's do this. Let's say open orders for space. I'm going to hit the open bracket. And what that does is it gives me all of the fields that are available to me in this visualization. So I want to select the employee name. So I want it to actually give me some context here. Whoops, let's say open. Some context of what the heck am I hovering over, so it makes it more clear. So I'm going to save that link, check the box. Now when I hover over open orders for Michael Sumaya, filter by, drill down to, so this is really handy, select it, and now we are doing our dashboard link. So very, very slick. The other thing too is notice here, I'm going to use my dashboard filter. So let's hover over confections. I'm going to filter by confections. Everything on this dashboard changed. So you can see my tree map changed, my bar chart changed, my grid changed. It's only showing confections. You also might notice something else pretty interesting. Notice the category here is confections, which is correct. I'm not showing any other data, but on the bottom, I have a pager. So now in Reveal with this release 1.7, you can add pagers to your grids. So this is really powerful. It is not going and pulling down those 10,000 rows. You can change the page size. It's a simple setting. So here, if I jump into edit mode, let's click edit. And if I go to my settings, show paged rows, and I have a page size. So very cool. This is a hugely requested feature. Very excited about it. But what else is happening on this dashboard? Well, I'm going to go to inspect, and I'm going to go to my console. And what I want you to do is notice that when I'm clicking on columns and I'm clicking on things, that there's a bunch of information showing up here in my console. So I'm getting like the visualization ID, the dashboard name, the column name, the employee country. All of this is sort of available to me. It's also available to me on hover. So I can get this information on hover. I can get it on click. If we look at what's happening here, let's scroll back up. I have a couple events. I have the on data point clicked happening, and then I have the on menu opening happening. So when we do that, we get context of the visualization and then a bunch of args. What I'm going to do is something pretty cool. So I'm going to uncomment this code, which is going to fire when I click a visualization, and I've created a custom web API up on the server using the SDK DOM, which is going to dynamically generate the underlying data for this particular visualization dashboard and column. So it's going to pick up whatever I click on and then generate a dashboard on the server, and then I'm just going to load it up in a pop-up. So a lot of customers have asked, how do I get the underlying data? How do I know what data makes up this aggregate? Well, it's easy to do because with the SDK DOM, we give you the power to parse dashboards, read files. Reveal itself gives you all the information of what you're looking at in a visualization, and then I can create my own APIs and do whatever the heck I want. So I created this thing called Dashboards Visualizations Drill Down. So if we look at Visual Studio Code really quick, and this is, again, another sample that's up on GitHub. I'll go all the way to the bottom. And what I'm doing here is I'm passing some various parameters into this, but ultimately I am loading up the dashboard document. I'm getting an instance of the data source item, which is what data source is in this visualization. And from that, I'm pulling out all of the grid fields. And then ultimately, I am creating a filter on a dashboard and then generating a new dashboard with my grid visualization, with my filter applied. So here you can see I'm doing a new filter on my document. I'm adding this filter object. What filter am I going to add to this? Well, I'm passing in the field name that I'm hovering over. So if it's a column, I'm going to hand over or pass over beverages or confections or whatever. And I just want to see the underlying data. I also added the ability to show all of the data or just the fields that make up the visualization. So this bool include all fields will look at how that behavior changes. So now that I've enabled all of this, let me enable it on my hover, and we're going to see a couple things here. And also on menu opening, that's when we're doing the hover. So we're going to get information when I'm hovering, when the menu opens, and then I am going to get all the information I need when the data point's clicked. The data points clicked is when we're going to really trigger this. That's actually where you get the visualization level, and then we have the underlying data. So let's take a look and see what happens here. I'm going to open this up in the browser, and I'm hovering. Everything's fine. Let me click on dairy products. So I'm clicking on dairy products, and what just happened? This dashboard showed up with the filter of dairy products. And if I scroll down, you're going to see that this is just dairy products that was brought up. So this is all of the underlying data that made up this particular column. So this is 303. So in that table, there's 303 items. If I go to Miss Margaret Peacock and I click, or I just click, this is all of the data that makes up all of Margaret Peacock's orders. So this is that underlying data. And you can see I'm passing every row, which is that useful? Not quite sure. So if I go back and I say I don't want every row, we can change this to include all fields equals false. And down here, do I have include all fields equals false? Yes. So now let's view this in the browser again. And if I just click condiments, I just get those values that make up condiments. If I just click on Mr. Robert King, I get those values that make up all of the hierarchy and data for Robert King. So this didn't take dashboard linking. I didn't do anything except be a little creative with the power of Reveal's SDK, and I have a pretty compelling feature. How are we going to improve this? One of the features coming in the next release is the ability to add your own buttons or menu items to the tooltip. So once I can add my own tooltip item here, I'm not clicking on the column. I'm actually just going to have a nice tooltip here where I can say, hey, view the underlying data. We're also adding the ability to multi-select. So I'll be able to select, for example, beverages and confections, and then get all of that data. Now, if I expand this, I've modified what happens when a visualization is expanded or maximized. You'll notice I added another button here called underlying data. What it will do is it will give me all of the data for the entire dashboard. So this is all of the underlying data for that entire dashboard. And of course, what do I want to do with this? Maybe export it to Excel, do some further analysis. But the idea is that it's the same concept. Here, I did it on a click, and I just did the specific data point that I was over. So what were those ARGs? The ARGs where it was a category, it was seafood, it was in this visualization. So I generated that new dashboard on the server to show that. And then when I expand a visualization, I've added this underlying data. So this is another approach that you can take to show more data and give your users more capabilities for analysis. One thing I will highlight, when I opened this up, I was opening up this filtered data in what's called single visualization mode. So what single visualization mode does, if I just view this in the browser, is it will hide the overflow, it'll hide a bunch of features and just give you a maximized single visualization from a dashboard. So this doesn't have all of the other dashboard decoration. It is literally just showing a specific visualization in that particular dashboard. And in this case, there's only one visualization, so it just picked that up. What you end up with, if we view this in the browser again, is not only it's this experience where I have my dashboard linking, my filtering, my drill downs, but no matter what I click on, I can get the underlying data for a specific data point in a visualization. And then if I maximize a visualization, I can get all of the underlying data for that visualization using my flag of include all fields or not. So that's what we have for today. I hope you can see a lot of the value of what you can do with Reveal in terms of the interactive data analysis features. So let's wrap this up. Okay, so that was kind of neat demo on all of the data and interaction features that you can do with Reveal, along with some of these really exciting new features that I know I can't wait until we go through some more testing on some of them, but even the ones that are RTM, my favorite being paging in the grid, which is great. Believe it or not, we never had paging before. Now we have paging, so very exciting for large data sets. As you can see, the poll has popped up. Please take some time to answer the poll questions. They really drive the experience that we offer in the features of Reveal. Everything that we build and deliver is based off of customer feedback, so your feedback is important to us. Your next steps, contact us. Let's do a demo, a deep dive demo, and then get you into a POC to see if Reveal will fit within what your requirements are for an embedded BI experience that you want to deliver to your customers. Go to infragistics.com or revealbi.io. Email sales@infragistics.com, or of course, you can email me, jasonb@infragistics.com, and I will route you to the right folks. I want to thank you again for joining us today. We will have another webinar in a couple weeks around Angular and building Angular applications with Reveal, which will be really cool because a lot of people are using Angular. We get a lot of Angular questions, so this webinar will hopefully answer some of those for you. And in that webinar, we are going to use our new web component to render Reveal in your Angular app, which again is very cool, very modern, very new. So stay tuned for that email coming your way to join us for that webinar. And with that, I will let everyone go. I want to thank you again for spending time with us today. I know you have a lot of polls on your time, and we will see you at the next webinar in a couple weeks. Thank you.